So what we can take away from this is that given the right circumstances, Damien will kill Keanu Reeves to preserve himself. That's the headline.
And now for something completely machinima. Tracy Harwood. So I've done a little bit of digging around and I've discovered
Ricky Grove. Fog comes in on little cat feet.
Phil Rice. This is the best film that I've seen all year and maybe ever.
Damien Valentine. Use the machinima, Luke. Hello, and welcome to the final episode of this month of another for something completely machinima. I'm Damien Valentine, and I'm joined by Tracy Harwood.
Hello.
And Phil Rice.
Hey there.
This week we'll be discussing another film, and it's Tracy's pick. So what have you chosen for us? Because it's quite an intriguing film.
It is intriguing, yeah. It's called V, Never Stop Fighting, and it's a Cyberpunk 2077 film that was released actually a few years ago now. It was in February 2021 by a creator called Charles Liu. Don't know very much about Charles. He's not made very much, but this one particularly caught my attention. It's an edited run through of the story of the female character V in the Cyberpunk 2077 world, and it's told as a music video, and it's kind of interesting actually because Ricky picked "I'm Still Seeing Breen" for the beginning of this month, and I picked this one, and we didn't really talk about whether we should pick music videos this month, but it's kind of interesting that they're both not dissimilar in their strategy in as much as they're sort of like edited run-throughs of the game, and the way that they're kind of edited is not a dissimilar depiction, if you like, in terms of how it's edited to the music selection. In this particular case, its representation of the character, I guess, is quite faithful to the game because it's been picked up by the voice actor Jeremy Lee and also Powell Sasko, who are respectively the voice actress for V and also Cyberpunk's lead quest designer. And you hear a lot of the voice of the character and her interactions with others, but you rarely see her in this video, and that's because it's this first person perspective of her view of the cyberpunk world. It's interesting. I do think it's interesting when you compare that sort of style to the Breen film. I think it's quite similar. With this one, I particularly like the editing. I thought the sound mixing was interesting. I also thought the choice of shots to show the meaning and the plot progression were also quite interesting. And those were very similar comments to the ones that we made to the Breen selection as well. The music selection to this is intriguing because it's a classic Johnny Cash song called Hurt. And so it's really quite an empathetic piece. And I think it's been selected to align really well with the story of the game world here. It actually, you've kind of got two deep levels of storytelling going on simultaneously, one with the music, one with the game. So I think these two things kind of complement each other really nicely. I think I don't know whether this works so well for you or not. In places the sound of the music just drowned out a little of the action that you saw in the game world. And that was clearly a deliberate choice by the creator. You know, where some of the actions and the shots and the explosions and the struggles of V were sort of facing, and the way that the music was sort of fading in and out of that. In order to allow parts of that, the plot of each, if you like, to sort of take over at different moments of time. That was a really intriguing sort of editing choice, I think, I think in places worked better than in other places, where it's probably the best way to describe it. There was one area where I got a little bit lost in this when I first started watching it, but I watched it through a couple of times, and in the end, I thought, no, this is good. This takes me on this story of this character V. Anyway, not knowing too much about the level of the work that's gone into this, and I'd say it's quite a lot from the editing and how the music syncs to it. I I think I'd be really interested to hear what you guys have got to say about how well it works for you. The one thing that does disappoint me about this is that the creator just has only made two films, which is a pity, and they're both of the same kind of age, about 2021. I couldn't find anything out about this creator at all, so I guess he's just sort of dipped in, made these, and kind of moved on. But he's really got quite a lot of talent. I think if you watch both of these, the films that he's made, you'll see that there's real editing quality in what he's done, and a real eye for a shot, and a way of telling a story through this sort of game world. I think it's a pity that he's not actually made more. Anyway, what do you guys think?
All right, I'll go next. So I think I've reached my saturation point for this story.
Okay.
Yeah, just I was really hoping for something that wasn't just another retelling of the this narrative of this game, the general arc of it, the main characters they encounter, the ups and downs, has been told in machinima so much that I do not own this game. I've never played this game, but I know this story. That's how much. And it's not like I go and watch, Cyberpunk videos all the time, but I'm like so craving for another story in that world. The world of Cyberpunk 77 really compels me. The story did the first few times that I visited it, but that's my struggle with this film. Just going into it, I felt kind of impeded by that, is the familiarity. And I didn't want that. I was hoping for something a little new. So that out of the way. I also I also didn't like the music selection.
Oh, okay.
So this is not intended to be a mean review, I promise. But I think it's because of a personal relationship with the song. So the song is Johnny Cash. It's a cover of a song originally written by Nine Inch Nails or Trent Reznor. And one of the things that I remember about that song is an interview with Trent Reznor, because this was on the album called The Downward Spiral, which is 1994. And a couple years after that album, which was a huge critical and commercial success, he was in an interview and said that he went to a strip club, and one of the exotic dancers was out there stripping to this song, and it just broke his heart. Like he just said it just destroyed me, because the song is a very, very, probably the most deeply personal song that he'd ever produced. It's about how heroin addiction almost completely destroyed him as a human being, and that it's about the deepest, darkest place that a soul can go. And much as he was very flattered years later when Johnny Cash would cover it, because this is it's not the last song Johnny recorded, but it's one of the last. It was very near the end of his life, and he knew it. Bowie did something very similar, recorded this very memorable song and did the video and stuff, knowing that he was not long with this world. This is that moment for Johnny Cash, really. And looking back on this life that, we know a lot about Johnny Cash's life, and it was not an easy one. And he had ups and downs, and he had regrets. And it was a full life. And this is a song that he picked out and wanted to cover because it spoke to him. And so the song is really heavy for me, for both of those reasons, for the original author, and then reading about what Johnny had to say about it, and then what Trent had to say about Johnny recording it and all that. And so this is kind of watching it in this film of the recycled story of V is kind of like the strip club moment for me, a little bit of just, oh no, what are you doing? It's not that it doesn't musically fit, it does. So I've got my negative stuff out of the way now, right? And that's all subjective. But to your point, Tracy, when you were talking about the editing and the fact that there's snippets of conversation going on from the game footage, but then lyrics going on in the song, yeah, man, there's some really masterful timing and editing going on there to where when those don't need to, like, there's several points where you can hear one of the dialogue bits of audio, and I mean the fraction of a second after that person finishes their word is when the vocal of the song comes back in.
Yeah.
That's not an accident. That's really
Yeah.
wonderfully carefully done. It's a pro skill. So that is quite impressive. And the overall edit and the success of this is a 3-minute video, is that right? A little over
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compressing a multi-hour narrative into 3 minutes, because this is trailer length, right? And a trailer usually gives you a taste. This is a compression of the whole narrative, really.
Yeah,
All the
it is.
important beats, all the important themes of the game condensed into 3 minutes. That's astounding. And I don't know if you noticed, but the top comment, the pinned comment, is from Cyberpunk's own channel,
Yeah.
saying, "Thank you for creating this beautiful video. We're humbled that you enjoy our story so much." So yeah, they got that too. This sense of it really is true to the story. Whether or not you're a grumpy guy like me who's maybe a little tired of it from overexposure, which I'll take the blame for. But in terms of the skill required to condense that down like that and not miss anything important, I don't think, and present it, you know what it feels like? The video feels like the sensation that's often described when someone says, when they're at the end of their days, their life flashes before their eyes. This is like that, like what you would envision how this is typically portrayed, right? I don't know if that's really the case. I won't know until it's too late to tell you about it. But this is the sense of it is, what do you remember when you're looking back and summarizing your life and as you're fading away, what do you remember? And this is that. Everything is of import, and we may not even understand all of the references. There'll be little moments where someone that she's with passed away in her presence, or where she's getting a wound healed up, or all that. What's beautiful about the way that's done is that that's how memories work. That may be all you have is that little visual of your leg getting stapled up, but there's this whole fountain of memory of the experience that surrounded what led up to that, what came right after that, how did that actually feel. So, credit first and foremost to the game for including enough experiences of that sort that it feels like a real life. Like it feels like a plausible life set in this futuristic, fantastic world, of course, but still it has a credibility and integrity to the story. And then on top of that, this Charles has distilled this down to something very succinct. It's very well done. It's very well done. I have personal issues with the subject matter. I think I've worn myself out on it. That's not his fault. And I have personal feelings about the almost admittedly probably an inappropriate sense of the sacred about that song because of personal feelings I have about it. But musically, it fits. It fits really well. I would have been interested to see them attempt that same edit with the original cut of the song, which is much different type of instrumentation. It's got a lot of dissonance and noise built into the music and stuff like that. And it would have been inherently more cyberpunky sounding. Um, but there's something to be said for the contrast of this very acoustic cover that Johnny Cash and Johnny Cash's voice. I mean, Trent Reznor's an amazing musician, an amazing film score, not the world's greatest vocalist. Let's all be honest about that, right? He's got a sound that's very distinct and unique, but Johnny Cash, come on, you can't beat that. So, and he just got better and better as he got older, in my opinion. Anyway, so yeah, I got mixed feelings about it. And most of the negatives I think I brought to the table before I even watched the film, if I'm honest. It's very well made. It shows off the cyberpunk world very well. Like the variety of shot selection in this is amazing. Everything from the broadest cityscape view down to super close-ups of, and some of the faces in this game are remarkable. And especially the game is, what is it, 4 years old now or more?
Yeah. 4 years.
And Damien, you and I were talking earlier about having watched the Gaming Awards, and there's a couple games that they showed off there where you got some close-ups of faces, and oh my goodness, the meta-human level stuff that's going on there is just amazing now. Well, this game was doing that really well 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it makes me excited to see what Cyberpunk 2, which they are working on, will do. Obviously, that's a long way off. They're still working. Their focus is on The Witcher 4, which did get revealed at the awards. So that's going to come before Cyberpunk. But they are working on Cyberpunk, so
yeah. My prayer for it, which I don't think will get answered, but my prayer for it would be that it has an open world, truly open world sandbox option. My understanding of the first game is it has the feel of an open world in terms of the look, but your narrative is pretty confined. If you go much outside the lines of where you're supposed to be, the level of detail in terms of NPCs and things like that maybe doesn't hold up quite as well. And maybe that's why there hasn't been a lot of original storytelling in this game and more focus on the main storyline. And I think that's one area where Rockstar, particularly in Red Dead Redemption 2, less so in GTA. GTA is the same. The same thing could be said about GTA, but there's unmistakably an open world way you can approach that game, especially once you've finished playing through the single player campaign. It's this city simulator that you could just go and do stuff and make stuff happen. And yeah, no narrative's going to leap out at you, but it's a canvas, right? And I'm not certain that Cyberpunk, that they set out to develop that type of game when they make this. So my hope would be, hey, keep doing the storyline that attracts talent like Keanu Reeves. That's awesome. Do that, because that's going to sell the game for sure. But boy, would an open world cyberpunk world be exciting. A truly open world where you can go and do anything. And that's when we'll see new types of machinima coming out of it. That's
right. I played the game a lot, and there are parts of the city where you can drive on any road, you can go down everywhere, but there are parts of the city where the developers haven't put a lot of effort into. Like, there's buildings, but you can't go in them. Like, you can get out, you can walk around them. There'll be procedurally generated crowds of people walking around and some things happening, but there's not really much to do there apart from
GTA 5 is the same way.
Yeah,
GTA 5 is the same way.
Trying to build a full-size city, that is a huge amount of work. So I understand why it's that way.
No, it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, with Red Dead Redemption 2, at least you could say, well, okay, a lot of that is just open countryside, with a city on the map the size of Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, you can have maybe some areas that don't have much going on, but the whole point of the city is there's lots of people.
Yeah.
And that's a much, harder challenge. So, but I still selfishly, I hope they do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that the look of it's like looking back over your life. One of the endings to the game, which I'm going to spoil now, but if you haven't played it after 4 years, I can't help you there.
Too late.
Um, um, so the plot of the game is you've got this chip in your head, and Keanu Reeves' character Johnny Silverhand, and you are having this conflict about who's going to take over your body, and depending on the choice of the game, affects the ending and how your relationship with him. But I played it so that I was friends with him because I liked the character and I didn't want to be fighting with him. Um, even at that point, there's this element of you kind of both characters, the player character and Johnny Silverhand, want to sacrifice themselves for the other. So I played it. I played it so I lived, and then I played the other ending. I went back a little bit and changed it just enough so that he won and took over the body, and my character died. So you've got that kind of fits with your character dies at the end of the game, but you're still the life leading up to that moment is this video.
Yeah.
I think the way you said that, that's what got me thinking about that.
Oh, wow.
So what we can take away from this is that given the right circumstances, Damien will kill Keanu Reeves to preserve himself. That's the headline.
Um, yeah.
I spent a lot of time playing this game. Actually, I just said I recognized a lot of these moments, but even though the game isn't fully open world, there's enough open world there that there's things in this video I did not see. So this
That's
player
cool.
had different experiences, and maybe it's just because I went down a different corridor during a certain sequence or something like that. But there's definitely things in there I didn't recognize. But then there's plenty in there I did recognize, and it made me want to play it again.
Well, Damien,
Oh.
when you're playing the game with the main intention of killing Keanu Reeves,
I felt really
you're going to
bad
see
at it.
certain things.
When
Oh,
I
you
got to that
felt
ending,
bad?
I was like, I don't want him to die. But the choice is either do this or stop playing the game and
Oh.
don't see how that plays out. So that's when I went back and replayed it, so we both had a chance of living. Um, and when you've spent a lot of time in this world, getting to know his character and the other characters in the game, seeing that cutscene, depending on which way it goes, and which characters you end up still in your circle and where you end up, that's a really powerful thing. I know some
Yeah,
game endings don't. You've had a big long journey, and then the ending is very disappointing because they've rushed it, or they haven't really put a lot of thought into it, or they just put a different color filter to reflect your choices, which we won't name that game. Um, so having this ending where it really feels like the choices that you made throughout the game and the relationships you've forged with the NPCs really matters. And I've only played these two endings. I know there are many other endings that go back. The choice can go back to even to how you create your character and the background you choose for that character. So it's a huge game. So you can't just create a new character and then 6 hours later you've had a playthrough. I spent about 50 hours playing through the main story. Okay, I did spend a lot of time doing side missions as well, which you can not do,
sure.
but they're interesting. So I wanted to explore the game, and I'm sure there's more I missed. Uh, but yeah, this video does show a nice snapshot of some of those key moments of the main story. Obviously, it doesn't show everything because it's a huge game and you can't put that all into 3 hours. So, into 3 minutes, but it's enough for the important parts. And I do feel I need to replay it again, maybe with some different character choices so I get a different ending.
Yeah. And don't kill Keanu
One
Reeves.
more Keanu Reeves lives.
I hope there's an ending where you can both live. But it's not that kind of world. It's not a everyone lives happily ever after kind of game.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone has to die.
And it's Keanu Reeves.
I wonder if there's an ending where you both die. That'd be interesting. Just beyond the point where you just get shot losing a fight. I was sure that's technically a game ending.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's an excellent pick, Tracy. I'm going to have to resist the urge to replay it because I do have other things I'm supposed to be
You've got
doing.
other projects you've got to do.
Yeah. But it brought back a lot of good memories playing the game as well. So there
Mm.
is that. Also, on music, the other thing that came to mind with my attachment for this is it's the same song they used in the trailer for Logan, which is a film I watched recently.
Oh,
'Cause I watched Deadpool and Wolverine last summer, and I really enjoyed that. So I thought it's time to go back and watch all the previous X-Men films. So I got to that one, and then I watched the trailer after it. I recognized that song when it came to this. So
okay. I
yeah,
hadn't seen that.
ah,
Well, I'm glad you liked it, kind of, Phil.
There's a lot
Bits
to
of it.
appreciate in it for sure.
It's exactly.
yeah.
It's funny that we've ended the month on another music video. That's
Makes
an
you wonder what
interesting.
we're going to choose for next month.
Yeah, randomly.
If we all choose music videos,
Or we all choose flight sims or Sims.
maybe Phil, you'll get lucky and find a Cyberpunk video that tells a new story.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, so I think that wraps up our first month of the year with this video, V Stop Fighting. I'm Damien Valentine. I've been joined by Phil Rice and Tracy Harwood. If you'd like to discuss this video or Cyberpunk, or anything else we've been discussing over the last few weeks, please send us an email at talk@completelymachinima.com, and you can check out our blog at completelymachinima.com, where you'll find all the show notes and everything we discussed. Um, and we'll be back next month with Ricky and some more fun film stuff. So take care and see you then.
Bye bye.
Bye.